Welcome back to the Impact Gaming Center in St. Louis. I'm Corn. With me is Cash. We have gone through winners round 1, losers round 1, and we are now in the loser semifinals, with St. Clair already being through in the winners finals to the grand finals here this weekend. These two teams are facing off to try and be the final team to punch their ticket into the grand finals to play St. Clair for a national championship bid and opportunity inside of the 2026 CCL season. It's been a wild ride so far throughout most of this year. We started out the year with 132 teams. We are now dwindled down to our final 3 teams remaining. The Cumberland Phoenix took a few maps off of Fisher in the group play. Now trying to do it one more time here is going to be a Herculean task for them to be able to overcome what Fisher Falcons are going to have to throw at them. But for Cal, it's his final ride here inside of the CCL. What a way it would be to end it off with a grand final.
Would love that kind of appearance for him. I know he wants that. The team wants it for him, if not for themselves as well. It is Cumberland Phoenix riding on the high. That top 4 is a great placement, but top 3 even better. And hey, top 2, top 1 could be even sweeter at that. And again, knowing that they have played this Fisher team, knowing that they've actually shown that they can bleed, I don't think they have any reason to not be confident going into this series. So it's definitely going to be a battle from start to finish. Cumberland very much the underdog coming into this, though. We did get to watch St. Clair beat Fisher in a 3-0. That series could not have played closer. The same thing to be said, even though Cumberland shows a 3-0 against Wichita State, could not have been closer of a series. 1-point game in the hard point, a 1-round game after a replay in the round 11, and then a comeback overtime win for Cumberland in map 3. So you see the 3-0s, you think, wow, what a boring day. Could not be further from the truth. This series, I also look to have the same kind of feel.
2 series remain in the 2026 Black Ops 7 CCL season. Let's dive into these two teams, take a bit more of an in-depth look to see how they played throughout the entirety of this weekend. Series win-loss 4-2 here for the Fisher Falcons. I think this might actually be something different. Am I wrong? Oh, that's LAN only down there at the bottom?
Yep.
Okay. You know what? I was thinking about it. Yeah. No, that's right. Yeah.
Yep.
No, that's right. I had to do an additional bit of thinking there for the series win-loss. But yes, 4-2 for the Falcons, 3-3 for the Cumberland Phoenix. Now finding our way down to the lower side of the bracket here, where we find Fisher kind of dropping for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
This is really the first, I guess, test that they've had on LAN in terms of like a moment that they have to show something out. You know what I mean? Realistically, being at the point of season on the line now for Fisher, so much riding on the fact that they have had storylines talked about them throughout the entire year of saying, oh, they should be fighting for a championship on LAN. They should be at least a top 3 team. They've made it to top 3. They've had moments and opportunities before to take and win a national championship. And you look back to the MW3 season as one of those opportunities. You look even last year as one of those opportunities against Oklahoma Christian where they fell just short at the goal line. It's actually kind of this weird story where St. Clair has actually played some of their best Call of Duty today, whereas last year they kind of fell apart on Sunday and I don't want to say choked, but definitely didn't live up to the hype.
Yeah, they have had moments in years past where that has been the case, but this year, like you said, getting off to a strong start where we haven't really seen that of them. So that only goes to bode well for their chances going into the match later today. Fisher definitely had to get the warm welcome to that, and so now we have them here in this series against the Cumberland Phoenix, where you do expect Fisher to make a bounce back and try to get that ticket back to that grand finals appearance. But for Cumberland, you talked about the last hurrah, you talked about the emotion coming into this one and what it means for these players. So either side, a very like we always call Fisher polished, disciplined, that type of approach. They're like, we need to get back to grand finals because that's where we should be. That's the expectation we have ourselves. Yep. And for Phoenix, it's just kind of like a gritty team. They were a good team. They were a skilled team. That's not to say they're just winning off of just pure brute force. This is a team that has battled and showed skill and talent, and a team that deserves a grand final spot if they were to come out here and win. Just a little more emotional for them, I feel, just because of the seniors that will be leaving this program after the fact. So now that we've kind of told you what's at stake for either team as far as mentally, as far as on the maps goes, we'll have a look at these videos here. Map 1 and 4, we're going to have Sake for the first time for you and I, and then Dent as well in map number 4. We're seeing the bands come in for Search and Destroy. Fisher is going to opt to pick Raid for the S&D, at least to get things going. We haven't seen many, again, even just the Fisher St. Clair match we had, right? We didn't have many different looks as far as maps went in that series. I think this one, Fisher maybe going to throw some curveballs in. Yeah,
absolutely. 7-2 here on the map 5 for the Den, Search and Destroy. I believe map 1's pick was from Fisher. Map 2 goes to Den, or excuse me, it's a Raid to Cumberland. So it's going to be the ban here for Cumberland on Den for Overload. No surprise there against Fisher. That has been kind of their one map that they actually love.
Yeah.
throughout the entirety of the weekend and just the season in general. But it looks like we will be playing a Scar Overload. It was actually Cumberland who did pick the Sake hardpoint, excuse me. So you can kind of see all the bands and where each team wanted to go for the hardpoints. It looked like Colossus was kind of where they wanted to stop Cumberland. One of the things that we talked about for Calamity and Honor specifically, those are two guys who love Colossus. They love being able to take that map over, be able to push into P1, get Mixie inside of there. They influence the spawns extremely well. We kind of touted them as a team that just loves to fly through the front over and over and over again. They will berate you on a Colossus, so I understand why Fisher gets that out of the map pool. Gridlock on the opposite side for the HP for Cumberland. Also can understand that too.
Yeah.
It's a map that doesn't necessarily play to their strengths. I actually think it plays really well to Fisher's side. But for the S&Ds, again, same kind of thing there. Gridlock, Plaza, you don't want to play those bang-out maps for S&D, the maps that you maybe haven't practiced as much as well. It is kind of weird, though, for Cumberland to pick that Sake early in map 1. I kind of like that play call, though, because once they realize that they could get something that might be able to get a leg up on a team like Fisher to play a Sake, opposed to maybe going to a more traditional map like a Colossus or maybe a Scar or even a Den, for that matter, I think seeing that Den come through at the end of the series, that's where Fisher, if they need to go for, want to be able to close it out, because it's another map they're very comfortable on, and it looks like we're going to waste no time at all hopping into the Sake. So first time we're going to be able to actually see this on the CCL broadcast throughout this year. As you guys know, after the CCL playoffs concluded on the online portion, there was a bit of time for teams to be able to learn, scrim, and practice these new maps coming to LAN, so we allowed them to slip into the map set as we pretty much keep concurrent with all CDL rule sets, map sets, and everything else in between. Obviously, GAs are still GAs in all series, so it's not something that we necessarily enforce by rule, but of course that is something that players will respect and follow, unless they want, a sniper being run throughout the entire city for smokes on the map and whatever may have you. So here we go. Let's hop into it. Sake map 1 here. Again, first look at everything. Played this in ranked a couple of times. Actually do like the way this map flows. Teams just aren't 100% comfortable on it yet. Lots of flanking opportunities to be able here inside a middle map to get around. Lots of different angles to be able to peek from. It's going to be Fisher, though. They get the opening breaks off. They get the majority of kills going their way. It's all 4 dead for Cumberland.
And with so much real estate, you usually talk about those P1s, right, sitting kind of pretty dead center at that 50-yard line of the map. This one a bit extended, so on this right-hand side, which is where P2 will be rotating shortly, I mean, you can just look at how much empty space is behind Fisher at that point, and how much map they have to work with and room to, do things with. And yeah, we'll just kind of circle back to that and figure out.
Alrighty, well, we are going to go ahead and, I guess, chop it up here on the desk a little bit more. That's actually... Oddly enough, the first time that has happened to us throughout the entirety of the weekend, a lobby loading in and then either being ended or broken. And that's fantastic for a couple of reasons. Number one, online, we had that happen almost every single broadcast, and it was the most annoying thing in the world because you guys would get excited, we'd get excited, and then we'd have to come back to the desk and fluff for another 5 minutes on something that we had already kind of wrapped a bow on, and then we just kind of have to pick up the point out of midair and say, yeah, we'll just drop this here and kind of talk about it. So let's talk about it in the same way that we normally would online. How about we go in depth on the Cumberland Phoenix side? You already broke down the storylines with Cal a little bit. You mentioned how it's not only his final time playing inside of the CCL, but this could be very well his last series that has been played. Tons of players throughout the weekend. It's actually really annoying because we'll talk to players after the series are over, and they'll come up to him and be like, hey guys, thanks for the fun throughout the couple of years. It was great meeting you guys, talking to you guys, and they're just like, oh cool, where are you going? They're like, oh, we graduated. They don't tell us anything before the series, before we start, and they're like, oh yeah, we're graduating this year. We're not going to play in the CCL anymore. This is our final ride. And I'm like, dude, we could have given you a farewell tour, let other people know that you're leaving. We've watched you for the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, I knew it was coming to an end soon, but tell us.
yeah. Well, we've had, at least a handful, 5 or 6 for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, we knew of Oklahoma Christian, but even 5 or so players outside of that, just being like, man, we appreciate what you guys have done. We're like, yeah, you too. It's why? I know you lost, but why? And they're like, yeah, no, we're done. So it is something you wish you could kind of give the flowers to as it's happening, just to kind of, they deserve a send off, just as much as, they appreciate, the things that we do and stuff. So you want to give these players that kind of, send off, and that's why, again, the story with Cumberland, why we're talking about that, because that is one we do have ahead of time, and that's one we are going to shadow. And for this team being a team that top 8, big time for them to finally crack into their top 4. Fantastic. They go into Sunday, they win in the first round of their bracket. Now they get the top 3 advancement. So for us knowing a lot of these guys, the emotion you play with whenever it is one last to go, that's why we want to be able to highlight it, because it's not the sole reason at all why Cumberland is here, but you do play with a lot more heart whenever this is my last chance at it. I'm gonna get it all I got.
Back into the sake. This time, it's not going to be a 4 down for Cumberland. They're going to be able to walk away with one on the dark side. Honor traded out instantaneously. You go 1 for 1 early on. First 20 seconds. Eclipse, it's Fisher who touched first. They're going to get the initial pointage on the board. Cal down low, waiting for anybody to get a little bit of loose directly into his line of sight.
Dark side plays a cut off on the route being made. No one finding an opening just yet to slip behind enemy lines. Confid going to be at least trying to work his north side. It's been a little quiet, so he's going to start to move around, maybe try to fight a gunfight, pick one out for himself, give information to the team that, hey, there's a couple players here, and that is going to be the case. As Phantom picks up one, Confid's going to fall, so you're going to see Brax start to rotate towards that side of the map. It is going to be that upper right-hand corner where we go for next. So still with 10 seconds to fight for. Fisher gets some early time on the board. They start their waltz backwards, and now Cumberland the march across the map will be made as off-spawn Sara starts to get back in the mix.
Push on forward for Honor. 2 bodies out now flying against 1. It's Confid who's actually able to pop the double off. So this is going to give them full control of that mid-court area down to the bottom right side of the map. Sara, the last one to push up forward, is going to get knocked off. So Fisher, full control right side of the map, at least for the moment. Cumberland trying to force their way up and through middle. Map on the old rotation from P1. P2 fully locked down. I mean, right now, Phantoms is just super soaking it.
Cal gets kept on response with the front side. And as Phantoms last to the point, going to be quickly surrounded here. Players off spawn trying to grab back where they can, but Cumberland's ready for the push. They're going to get in. They're going to get the break. This would be good time for them to put them over the 30-point mark if they can get the rest of it, but heavy on that if. Darkside's in the mix. Darkside with the pistol out. Teammates on the cleanup. That is the clearance, what you thought was going to be a way to kind of close this deficit. Fisher say no. They shut the door. Now we're looking at a 70-10 advantage.
Warehouse cleaned out. Everything must go sale. Fisher selling it out the doorway. Now as they start to shovel them off, Disfigured and Honor both combining for a singular kill here thus far through 2 hard points. 1 and 12 combined. I would love to say anything else to be able to combat what has happened so far here from Fisher, but realistically speaking, they just need to start killing a couple of people, and then the map can start to come to them in time.
Best hold for the moment that we've seen them have inside of Stock A, as they're just trying to play the lives the best they can. If they can get this first push taken care of, they feel like they can get themselves a handful of points on the board, and at least, like you said, start to get those kills rolling. Now get themselves in the spot where, okay, we're going to push out beyond. We're going to see if we can get a full 60 here, and that would put them right back in this game as if it wasn't even out of reach to that point. A big gunfight went on Confid now, so that's going to secure, okay, sweet. A good amount of time, a little wind in the sails. We're going to fly across the map now and try to put pressure on Fisher in response. 10-point game. Now in rotation.
Over to P4 and in the courtyard. Almost reminds you a little bit of how the Apocalypse pill played out back in Black Ops 4, or excuse me, Black Ops Cold War. A lot of different little head peak areas, lots of open space that you can get cut off on. But at the same time, a lot of hold potential here for either side. Fisher, after letting it bleed for a little bit, about a 10-point lead now, staying on top of things. And through middle map is going to be Disfigured. He loses the 1v versus Confid. I guess worth noting, Confid, a little bit of a struggle series earlier on in the day against St. Clair, back to his full nature at 9-4 here, playing pretty well in the early goings.
Somewhere he's finally got the green light just to kind of run around and do his thing. You want to get him back in flow as soon as you can if you want to make a grand finals appearance. He's someone who definitely needs to get comfortable, so it's good to see him early on if you are a Falcons fan. Shooting the way he's shooting. Cumberland on the outside looking in now, trying to work through mid-map again from the front. It's just such a bottlenecked push through the south side, so you don't quite have the numbers to do that. You're still going to try to funnel in since you're already here and everyone else fell. Kind of an all-for-naught effort. Fisher able to read it, manage it, take care of it very well. And now as they look to progress towards the next hard point, it's going to be Darkside and a really nice corner. Yeah, he's able to take it early on, so Fisher will have early control.
Yeah, a lot of hard peak angles when you're trying to pop out on P4 there. There's just really not much that you can get. You have to throw some shoulders early on, and then you have to really just win a ripping gunfight if you want any sort of chance to even break into it. Config going to be on the back end here on the line, going on 6, now 7 in a row. Haha, do the funny hand motion. Hailstorm Missile earns streaks in utility here for the Falcons. Now as they continue to extend their lead on P5, 50-point advantage and continuing again to grow. Disfigure will finally be here to try and thwart the push, maybe cause a little bit of a hiccup for what Fisher are throwing at them for the most part. Cumberland just trying to bounce back and hold.
And you have to cross what essentially could be called a no man's land in an effort to try to get across to the hill. You really have that truck to work behind, but beyond that, as long as ARs have irons held, it's going to be very tricky to get time. You're really just trying to find a corner and hold in it, like you said. Lots of peaky angles here to try and clear out just to get a little bit of time rolling. Fisher on the preferred side. Honor going to slide in for 1. And on the quick trade, it will be Fisher retaining control quickly once again. They've had numbers on every side of the map.
Yep.
And for that reason, we have a doubled up scoreline.
Rotation back out middle. Cal wins the first gunfight there. As we said before, a lot of opportunity for flanks to come in on P1 while still holding the favorable spawns by P2. Darkside will lay down, knows that there's one inside of time. Challenge out immediately. You thought he'd rip the gunfight. Instead, he's got help there. 3-1, they go for a trade. Rack laying down here inside of P1, looking for a few out the front. Gives us a little bit of time to breathe. It also gives us time to dip into the Fisher comms to see how they're cooking.
Okay.
Bottom line. I have our lobby. Nothing our lobby.
Elevator, hop up. Well, half.
Yeah, they spawn back too. Behind me, two on me, sushi. Oh, different guy. One more. Sushi in front of you. Top sushi. I have a Top sushi. Weak. We should go right. You should.
Alright, we'll get
I'm looking right. Come right.
Elevator, half.
Just save it if you want, Carson. He's back right on me. Right on me on the rock.
I'm coming right.
One shot dead.
Nice.
Let's just one up.
Take it weak.
Take it over weak. I don't see him.
I think it's gonna be new.
He's in heroes.
He's still taking Nice, good job.
I'm seeing all big steps. Nice, they're big steps.
Oh, big steps.
Finish in front.
He's not challenged.
Got you mid.
Still take it.
Yeah, I'm
more
gonna
good.
have mid, right?
No, it's not him. It was
No,
Syro.
he's lobby. Go
I'm
back.
in
Big
front
steps.
Big steps. One shot, big steps.
Front door.
Front door. Just scam. We
He's
gotta
showing
kill
the
this
front door.
guy.
Hit the
I
back
see a
left.
shrine.
He's still
Another
ticking on you guys with
He's
that.
gonna pinch.
No, I have it. He's not
Back door.
pitching.
One guy
Back
hurt.
door.
He's just holding it.
Front door, back door.
Yeah, he just late pinch. Late pinch front. He's still up front.
One shot up.
Stay alive, maybe. I spawned him. It hit his ult on me.
He's right side box corner.
Four corner.
Watch this
On
on elevator.
On the van on me.
Front door.
I can kill my He's
back
half. He's
left.
at the cow.
Back left on me. Dead.
Nice, guys. Nice. I spawned.
Alrighty. Fisher on the comms. Nothing too crazy to talk about when it comes to being in a state of panic there, but I mean, look, the P3 hold that we were talking about earlier on, it is so difficult to be able to break into that. Actually, P2, so difficult to break into that warehouse. There's not many opportunities that you have to kind of get a flank route in. It's such a deep spawn that's all the way back there to where there's like, okay, you have to run all the way across the map to get another chow opportunity. You get 4 down there, GG. That's a full 60 for Cumberland, but now you're on the opposite side of the map where the same thing's true.
From the front, Arn's going to get a few, but you've got to get in for time. I mean, we've seen these moments where they're able to string things together, and finally, beyond the push of that, now they're going to be able to get in and get a complete break, because Fisher was doing so well in the small talk, where they were saying what we need to do, what we need to look for, even fighting for scrap, calming out where all these players were. So as their next push is on, Cumberland do a good job just lingering, hanging around. If they can get this back 20, that's going to be huge going into the back portion of this hard point.
So they lock down the distillery, push their way back into middle. P4 again was the struggle point that you were talking about beforehand. So it's like, okay, well, you need to clear out the back here. You got to have your hands on Ciaro. Unfortunately, there won't find or connect on anything. Rack backs all the way off, and you would have loved Cal to be able to walk away with maybe something more here. If you're Cal here, if you don't walk away with the gunfight immediately, you need to call the Hellstorm in. Yeah, and I was going to say, you only have 40 seconds to be able to lose here. You still got 80 that you need to make it. Here comes the Hellstorm over the top as Darkside was able to find. Oh no, Ciaro dies at the same time. You got to calm that to your teammates and say, boys, stay down until the Hellstorm gets used. We're going to back him off regardless. And look how long he has to stay out of the play here in order to just try and get one. It's going to be an immediate trade back from Brack 2 as he calls the Hellstorm into his own. He gets 3 for it, and it's a completely different look as all 4 go down for Cumberland.
And it feels like, you know, not necessarily that puts the game away, but if there ever was a misplay at the later portions, yeah, that's not something that you want to happen, like you said. A fumble in the comms, and on the other side, whenever you slip up, Fisher are going to exploit you tenfold for it. That's exactly what happens there. A double nade connects for Confid as he's feeling himself here. 22 and 15 with a minute 40 in the hill. Also, 15 seconds to close it out. They won't win it here, Alex, but I think the job has been done.
Fisher walking into the sunset here. Wrap back over to P5 after another hold on the courtyard that they had in the first set of rotations. Not many bodies here from Cumberland Phoenix. They're going to try and go around the right-hand side through P2 and out the warehouse. Doesn't spot one inside of the corner, and Darkside is able to find one for it. Sure, Cal gets the trade, but with 8 seconds left, now it's just all about flying your way forward. Cal's going to be able to take a 1v1 here, and they might stop the bleeding for a little bit. It's going to need to be a whole lot more than that, though.
Just a few moments. As you said, cauterized. Just for the time, but as the pinch develops, Alex, I mean, it just feels like head on the swivel. Cal's going to do his game. He's going to get one. He snaps for the second. Wait a minute. I thought for the third for a moment, but they're going to get in. Less than 5 seconds to count for it. Honor sure is going to get a couple going. So at this point, they're really just trying to buy time, stuffing gauze in the wound. But hey, they're still battling.
Gave him a chance, as he does every single time that he steps onto the map. Cal always doing the dirty work for the team. It sounds like a Hellstorm might be called in over the top, and that could very well cement the game away here over by the warehouse. It should be held on for a bit longer, and there it is, the final dagger with some explosions in the background. Map 1 goes the way of the Falcons. The Sake, they will take a 1-0 series lead.
Convincing at that. It was close, and again, Cumberland did give themselves opportunities, a lot of, kind of shoot and foot moments as well. But I think that map just comes down to this stage of the year, a new map. This team is so comfortable in each other's play styles that you just kind of roam and do your thing. Like you said, Sake caters, you're talking Gridlock, Plaza, Sake, the maps that kind of cater to Fisher's play style. I think Fisher understand what they need to do and just went out and did it. I think Cumberland tried to throw a lot at the wall there and a lot of good things, but in all honesty, that was just a map one that Fisher looked comfortable on.
Almost as like a mirror drawing in the way that it is like kind of like coming and collapsing it together and like kind of just separating again. You get there at the end of P2, go into a P3 where you try to hold for some significant time there. And you're able to do just that. And like the big thing is like we talk about specifically on this map, it's a bit different than some of our other hardpoint maps because in a lot of the other maps that we've seen, at least in Black Ops 7, even Black Ops 6 and a few of the other games and titles that we've seen previous in the last few years of Call of Duty, since we really had like almost like a design philosophy change after the MW19 season with how a lot of the spawns work and how the maps flow. We don't typically get a ton of maps that have hardpoints that are pushed super far back into a spawn side because with the spawn logic that we have inside of the engine and everything else, it gets a little bit mixy at times. And on a map like Sake, where you have P2 all the way on that top right corner of the map where you're inside of the warehouse, then you have the distillery on the opposite side of the map. This is one of those hardpoint maps that really allows for full soaking instead of the hardpoint. And if you're a BYU fan, you love that. If you're a regular player that enjoys old-style Call of Duty, you probably love that too. But again, it's how different this map plays in comparison to the rest of the maps in Black Ops 7. I think that's why you've seen a lot of teams apprehensive to play it. Fisher is a team that's not going to shy away from it. I do like the chow out from Cumberland on this map because the hard points have been pretty close against Fisher, but nothing to really be like, oh yeah, they could maybe steal one away. I think playing on a map that is a little bit newer, maybe fits that older style of Call of Duty in a weird way to where you can really get some good money hills back to back, and it's really hard to string them together. I think that's why I like the chow out of Cumberland. It's just the gunfights were more so won by a couple of players. They started out, what was it, 1-12 between?
Yeah, between the two of them.
Yeah. Honor?
Yeah.
No, that's uncharacteristic.
It is uncharacteristic, but also I think the map can also, go to that and force that uncomfortability.
Sure.
I think Fisher knew at turns where they wanted to take their gunfights, and they were the ones chaining the hills. You did have a couple of singular money hills, but like you said, with a map like this, with it being hills that are so tucked away, it's something that chaining it is what's going to kind of get you over that hump. A money hill at one turn is great, but it really opens the door on the other side of the map for two to go back together. So you kind of have to string more than just one money hill whenever maybe 2 or 3 of them end up playing like something you can lock down. Fisher just winning the lion's share of the big money points. And they'll walk away with map number 1. But like you said, I don't think it's a bad challenge out of them just to try to give it a different look. And like you said, these Cumberlands, these Wichita's like to throw unorthodox looks at these teams. So, it was what it was. They took the map trial that they did. And yeah, slang-wise, you come out and fall a little flat. But again, it was still a competitive game.
Finish up with the last couple of explosions that came in as Fisher were able to seal the deal there.
Nice.
And I honestly really did enjoy the counterplays that Fisher set up for themselves because I think when they had the utility early on in the game, they really didn't use the Hellstorms that they had acquired until late in the game, specifically with Confid. Confid, again, we talked about having some struggles in the previous series that they played against the St. Clair roster, and him being able to not only streak up here inside of the hard point, but be able to kind of build kind of significant momentum for himself was huge. But him being able to hold off on that Hellstorm and say, wait a second, I only need this really for P4 because every other hill is kind of inside. We use this on P4 here, and they're already going to use the streak. Well, we know Honor is going to be completely, or not Honor, we know that the Cal's going to be completely out of the play because he has to call in the Hellstorm in order for them to break this. If I call this in over the top, we're already kind of pushed into buildings anyways, and we're waiting. They're going to come off the respawn because we just got 2 dead. And that goes back into the philosophy of, like, if you're Cal and you're telling the rest of the team, hey, I'm streaking, them taking those 2 gunfights before the Hellstorm's even able to be over and see the rest of the map for where those players of Fisher are, those are misplays that you have to have figured out way earlier in the season. Those are mistakes that are going to come back to bite you. Yeah, it's a 60-point deficit, but I mean, if you get that break off the Hellstorm, even though the other one's coming in, you give yourselves a better chance to survive in the chaos because Fisher had just gotten 3 kills for free.
Well, like you said, they didn't even get an opportunity to re-break at that. It almost squandered what was 2 pushes worth because you take 1 push to wait for Cal, and you take the second with another one coming over the top. So, yeah, it was just kind of like an all for naught that ended up, costing Cumberland more than, you don't want to argue the map in a sense and just start kind of throwing stuff out there. But like you said, that was a momentum shifter that really could have gone their way if executed a bit better. But against a team like Fisher, like I said, they'll make you pay tenfold for that, and they sure as did come and collect.
Raid, Search, and Destroy up next. This has been a map that we've almost been almost getting to, but just not there yet because it's been at the game 5 at a lot of the tail end of the series that we've seen on broadcast here. Looking at the bomb squad statistics here, Cumberland Phoenix have been the better S&D team over the course of this weekend, where pretty much everything is concerned. We've noted, again ad nauseum at this point, that Fisher have struggled in the search and destroy mode. This is actually a Cumberland roster that took an S&D already off of Fisher earlier on in the group play, so this is something that they go into with a head full of steam and confidence here. I don't necessarily mind the raid pick early from Fisher because I think this is probably one of their stronger S&D maps regardless. They went to, around 11 against the St. Clair roster here on the same map, so I think if Cumberland can throw kind of the same looks that St. Clair gave out, cool. But again, I think at the same time, what worked so well for Cumberland was their rather unorthodox at times style of gameplay, whereas Fisher likes to, on offense, be aggressive over towards the library. They like to force that out, flip the map almost immediately when they have a numbers advantage, whether it be a 4v2, 4v3, however many are over on the site there, and then get the bomb planted for Laundry. Cumberland plays it a little bit different where, yes, they're still going to send the pressure over towards Laundry. That's raid search and destroy. We've been playing it for 13 years at this point, right? But it also goes to say that they also try to play around the rest of the map more, and it's not just all one focused push every time with all 4 bodies.
S&D specialist here, Cal, of course. Got to be the name that comes to mind. What he's done this weekend with this team alongside his teammates, nothing short of just fantastic. It has been an all-star performance from top to bottom. You look at the KD, great, finding those kills. But again, the opening duel win percentage, the fact that we have that as well to kind of show you guys just shows that when he's taking these gunfights, he's winning them. It's not just he's baiting his teammates and trying to do things like that. No, he'll be the first one through the door and also be the first one walking back out. So for Cal and what he's been able to get Cumberland to search and destroy wise up until this point at LAN, it's been nothing short of fantastic. And on the other side of things, you look, sure, does Cal have all of the numbers in the S&G specialist head-to-head that we're looking at? Yeah, but Brack, we call him Mr. Consistent all weekend. Yep. Expect more of that. The numbers don't look flashy, but boy, do they get the job done. I'll
tell you what, in an S&D where Cal's got his mustache looking top form on camera that we saw earlier today. Robert, if we could just go to the player cams real quick and we just take a look at Cal, if at all possible, I'd love to do that because, I just want to get the fit check real quick because he's on the bottom left of the screen right now, got the tats out and everything like that. He's got the mustache going on, talking to the rest of the team, and he's got the wife beater on too. So you got all those things in tandem. That is the scariest thing to look across the stage and see going into a search and destroy because that's a man who is on his last legs here inside of the CCL. He does not give a singular you-know-what.
He's locked.
I already used my 1 F-bomb for the stream.
Yeah,
Can't say it again.
I really was.
It was for Cal already too, so I have to go on top of that. By the way,
if he was ever going to double dip, if there ever was a time to tuck tail and
John just looked over my shoulder and he's looking at me with an intense, burning passion in his eyes right now for me to not say anything seriously stupid on the broadcast. John, I can't wait to see you in a second.
Sure.
I guess it's a good time to know, too, while we're loading into this map, too, there will be a State of the CCL address coming on after this series is over as well between this and the Grand Finals. So we will have an update for you on this CCL season and some news for the future as well. So stick around and stay tuned to that between this and our final Grand Finals series. Of course, we still have tons to dive into here in this map, too, before we even start talking about what a Grand Final could even look like or the State of the CCL, raid S&D, as we highlighted. Great for Fisher, good for Cumberland. Let's hop into it. Let's not exhaust anymore. Up to the middle of the map. This might be, I was going to say, it's either going to be set nades or it's going to be a fun push in the middle of the map, but I like the idea here with no nades, and Cal seeing that directly through the magnification of the sniper scope. I would have pooped my pants, poop help.
Even spread across the map for both teams. You said Fisher likes to kind of push out a library. Well, behind first blood, of course. And get things going in this dark side. Laundry is his home. You can't say, oh, did you get to watch earlier what happened? You're not going to say Cumberland, playing in that series, got that opportunity. But dark side on raid, this is something we're going to have to pick up on very, very early. This is what he wants to do, get aggressive toward Laundry. He will always be the initiator, so if you can figure out where he is, know where the play is coming shortly behind him.
Well, the final player on the Cumberland side will fall. I guess the other cool thing about what Fisher does on offense too is they get those nades thrown middle, so they tossed a double nade in mid to try and get Kitchen knocked out. But the cool thing about that is they're feinting the pressure there already. So you're thinking, okay, they're probably going to be taking space middle. Nobody takes space middle. They go directly over towards A, and once they get that first blood and they're all 4 together, they can just push over by Laundry. Either A, they're getting the bomb down, or B, they're winning the trade battle. And that's what we saw time and time again against St. Clair. They do it here in round 1, and that's something that Cumberland's going to have to adjust to really quickly.
Brack generally been their island player over towards the B site. On either side of the bomb. We'll see what the call is here is maybe the lone roamer. Someone who's wanted to push tempo the entire day. You can just see in his POV how eager he is to get around. And Phantom's having a good time on raid today, I'll say that.
Yeah.
Opened up the first round of his last series with 3 kills straight, gets an opening 2 here. Sure, you get the trade, but Darkseid is already making his moves.
Spots one on the bottom side of P5. You bet he'll take Disfigured off the board. Cal last alive, tries to go for the hop, and he's got not only an SMG up close, but an AR watching directly from the backside of Laundry, looking so nonchalantly as he jumps up there. So good reads by Fisher throughout the entirety of those first 2 rounds, but again, it's more so just putting the pressure on the spots.
And knowing they've already seen this team as well, you can say the same for both sides.
Yeah.
But Fisher's going to be a team that kind of knocks in those tendencies and says, okay, here's what we're going to take from you. We're going to make you either take it back or win one of these gunfights around the map against us. And through the first 2 rounds, it's just kind of been a blitz of, yeah, you've only been able to take 1 player off the map for the Fisher side of things. So if you are Fisher Falcons, like you said, you want to apply that pressure. And if you want to take anything back that we have taken, you're going to have to do it by way of gunfight. And that has not gone their way very well the first couple rounds.
Confid bottom side of Mansion's got 2 on a split up through the middle side staircase. Honor's going to get aggressive. Spots one out on the jump back right side. He's just going to come play his life inside a library right now. Look over towards A. Smoke was invested early on in the round for one of these 2 rosters. So already down a piece of utility early on here. Sorrow still has the stun here. On the tack belt, looks for the back line. Darkseid laying in a corner, gets cut down by Cal. This is the backside completely open, and now they got a 2-2 split on a pinch here for the retake.
Phantoms might not even be able to see Cal here. It does look like it has a 1 shot. They're going to come in, but you have an opportunity to switch. If he jumps out of here, Cal could get a line of sight, so he's going to get peppered. He's going to lay down. He's going to get slid out. So a great play out of Cumberland. I like that. Now heads on a swivel. You're pinned on the site.
You got 1 through middle map. You got 1 through basketball, 2 in the mansion, and still time dwindling down. 20 seconds left. Brack now in a 1 versus 3. Looks at the backside of Tiki to see if anything's spotted out there. Over towards the right-hand side on the top Chow. Brack will still be alive, and he goes for the contestation in. But good news for the Cumberland Phoenix. You're able to go ahead and survive a 3v1 and not fall to the hands and the wrath of Brack.
I just feel like the play through the back out of them. Like you said, whenever you got that kill on Darkseid, you weren't thinking that much of the map would be open or flipped on his head. I think they were expecting him to be on the better end of timing like he usually is. But they run with numbers. They end up getting the kill there. And I just think that completely changes the post-plant setup that they were looking for. And Cumberland doing a good job at again, saying, hey, we need to make some adjustments here. We can't keep letting them run it down like they have been. We need to throw something different at the post plant, not just kind of give them a one-dimensional look. Round 4 we go.
3-man hit over to B. Only 1 going to be there on the contestant. Deep side back. It's going to be Darkseid there. Playing inside of Tiki, just using the nice little pixel peek cut over. I don't know if he spotted the player. Yeah, he absolutely did. Okay, I mean, so the way they reacted, I kind of figured he did, but I wasn't 100% sure. Honor, bit shaky there. Aim assist lost in through the smoke, but he's able to walk away with the kill. So you get Darkseid knocked off. You open up the B site for yourselves. It looks like they might want to wrap this back and back off a little bit. They've drawn a lot of pressure here from the Falcons, but I just don't know if Cumberland know that for Fisher, they've just still have the map spread out. There's only 1 in money really watching this site.
And as they clear this out, you're only giving Fisher time to really just process of elimination. Okay, all 3 players are probably up here. And you can tell just by the way they're roaming, by the way they're finishing clearing things out, that that's going to be the call. Now just a matter of where they want to hit this attack from. They're on the defense. They don't have to necessarily attack. But you can tell they do not want to give up map real estate for the moment. Like you said, Fisher, with more map control than maybe Cumberland realizes.
Tell you what, Confid peeking around the corner, spotting out 3 there. Definitely got him hit a little bit, and he's going to be shooting himself in the back of the neck for that one. He's like, are you kidding me? I just watched that for 20 seconds, and then both those players run at the same time. And all of a sudden, now Fisher's going like, dude, I thought we had that watched. Well, we did, and they just had a bad timing, and now Brack's less alive in a 1v3. They've got the bomb going down, 45 seconds left. We saw him in a 1v4 last time, was able to find that first blood. It gave himself a chance at the bomb defuse, but yeah, this one's just going to be a world of hurt. They're not going to give him anything. The round of timings. Are we serious?
Woo! I was like, I'm going to give you that one.
Confid's looking over. He's like, yeah, I told you. Shit happens.
2 straight in succession, defense and an offense. Good S&D out of either team. No, crazy moments at this point, right? Just a standard up and down raid, like you said. It's been in the mix for about 13 or so years, so if you can't figure out how to get either side of the bomb worked out, you're going to be in a world of hurt. So at this point, these teams expectant of them to have a few rounds on the board. Now we get to what looks to be a Fisher opening break that we're more accustomed to.
3 out in the ring. 1 will hang back. The other one will play out towards the ramp driveway. Sarah up through middle map, but doesn't spot anything just yet. He knows that everybody's over at A because they have a full map spread elsewhere. But Cal with the sniper deep back jungle wants to have to try and find 1. They're going to get this bomb down in the meantime, and I like this play for Fisher. Don't push out too aggressive. Play to your strengths, get the bomb down, work the 45-second timer.
And now having to do a complete retake. Cumberland just seeing if anyone's going to overextend beyond the site. As you called to, that's what Fisher doesn't want to do. Cumberland's trying to see if they're going to readjust or reposition. They don't need to. They're so comfortable on this A site that they have to let the gunfights come to them. Confid opens up with the first one, and now the shimmy through the backside. Bracco have his hands full. But can he get on the better end of timing taking these first 2 gunfights?
Dips down to the ring, pepper shots on a few. Honor last alive here with 38 HP to his name. He's got 2 gunfights he has to take, one over by the rocks, one jumping down the ramp on the staircase there. He gets the first weak enough to maybe do something with it. Instead, that'll be Fisher there. You pointed out to it perfectly. Nobody from Fisher overextending at all. Just staying back. Know that Cumberland got to come to them.
And I don't even know if we've seen a team. I think the one time we did see someone retake on Fisher was previously St. Clair, whenever Rupert had that chase out on Phantoms planning, and that's what kind of like opened up the opportunity for them to break into ringside.
Yep.
To get that retake. But it is not easy. If Fisher get the bomb down, it is very challenging to retake that side. It's only been done one time this weekend that we've seen, so very confident in their pushes there, and I think they went back to that, knowing that, okay, Cumberland got a couple rounds, let's just get one on the board, really start to get things going back our direction.
Disfigured spots 2. That is just a wonderful bait and switch. You slide to the left corner, peek out on a jump hop through. You got your teammate there for secondary support if you need him. And now it's Darkside pushing up through middle map. Weakened up by Phantoms, and that is a flawless round for the Fisher Falcons, who take another 2-0 lead.
And you want to see them play with aggression even to this point, right? They're realizing now that, okay, if we play to that slower tendency, it's going to give Cumberland time to kind of explore, give them time to pick apart parts of the map. They don't want that. They're just going to run it down. Darkside shooting well, Confid shooting well. And now they're going to turn up the heat the back half of the surge.
Slowly but surely, Cumberland letting it slip away once again. Sharo, 0-5 performance here. And again, this is like the conversation that we had previous with like Fisher and St. Clair. It's like no one's playing like horrid between like Honor, Disfigured, and Cal, but like 0-5 at this point. You gotta have something go your way. Hate to have to call on somebody in this moment to have to step up. Cal at least opens up with one on the sniper. Darkside able to push up into the white van. He gets through this basically for free, and if you're Disfigured, you're not expecting that gunfight immediately. At least Sorrow gets the trading, gets on the board for 1. Pepper shots on the final kill, 3 versus 2. Doesn't know that somebody's behind him. He should have teammate support here. Cal with the pistol, forced to back off right-hand side. Had the pistol out because of the sniper in the early round. Phantoms last now in the 1 versus 2, spots them out, and he's going to wrap this over to B.
I like to play a lot. Maybe even just going to play patient, see if they try to wrap through mid. Either way, he feels like he's in control of the decision-making here, and yeah, he's going to kind of force that wrap. Even if they go back through mid, just doing a little dance around here. As I'm thinking he's going to want to stay A-site. You know he feels more comfortable here, so that's going to be the play. Going to plan it for Laundry.
Double challenge in through middle. Do you get the good timing? If you hit the mid-cut, are you going to wrap back around through jungle? It looks like they're going to split here. And Cal thinks a little bit better of it. Going to find his teammate on the back end. Map completely flips around. Phantoms planted it for the opposite side, maybe trying to bait them out. He's going to wrap this in through middle here too. Right now, Cumberland, they're just trying to clear every angle in the back. They don't know if he's going to come around through the kitchen. They don't know if he's going to flank him. They are tweaked out so hard right now when Phantoms is literally just playing his life across the map, unchecked, unchowed, unspotted. With 19 seconds left, he spots one out over towards the white van. The spot that he's playing in right now is almost too perfect. He'll hop up behind Cal and knows that one's on the defuse. On the top of the ring. No way, Phantoms gets the timing here, unchecked. It was 7.5 seconds. He'll win the second gunfight as well. Timmy Phantoms. And the veteran ship that he has in Search and Destroy has had himself a day on ring.
I mean, it's just artistry. You knew as soon as he planted at Laundry, he was never going to play Laundry side. Like you said, it was all what he was comfortable doing on the A side. I'm going to plant Laundry. They're going to tweak back Laundry. And when they go to Hot Bomb, guess we're going to be watching me to wrap from Laundry. And the entire time, he knew exactly where he wanted them. He orchestrated that perfectly. It felt like as soon as he wrapped back towards the A site, you don't want to say it, but it feels like that 1v2, it just seemed like he's like, I'm going to take this. And I know exactly how. He didn't think too hard. It's work smarter, not harder. That's exactly what he did. On 5 in a row as well. Fisher up 5-2. Just a beautiful round to watch unravel.
Checking to see where that bomb was going early on. Looked like they wanted to play through middle. Got the double nade out and through kitchen. Doesn't find anything for it. They're going to push this all the way up through A. 3 men on the site. Do the Fisher Falcons try to take space middle map and then be able to push through P5? It looks like they're just going to fall back and use the Hellstorm that Timmy Phantom has been sitting on here since the ending of that last round. 8-2 on 5 in a row. Now going to call this in, forces everybody to wrap off in a bit of a mischievous way. He's got 2 in laundry, 2 back library. Going to try and curve this into the laundry window if he can, and he finds 2 for it, while Darkside finds 1. And that might just be the dagger here inside of the search and destroy. You play the game enough, you learn how to curve those things perfectly. Nothing here affecting Timmy Phantoms on this raid, who gets another double-digit kill.
And Phantoms on raid S&D. If I'm St. Clair and I get eyes on this, that might be one we see not make it to the map pool if they find their way back in a grand final. Just all smiles from the Fisher side. I mean, really feeling himself there. That is a map he looks really unkillable on.
Yep.
Had his way from start to finish. Now they put themselves up 2-0 in the series.
Looking a little tricky on the Cumberland side, too. And I hate to say that, but...
You do, but I mean...
after losing this, 0-2 down on the series, last kind of CCL moment for Cal. I can understand why he's kind of like down, head in the clouds and everything like that. But look, how it goes. That is how the story unfolds sometimes. And, you know, some people get storybook endings, some people don't.
Yeah, and you talked about it, too. You were just calling back while we have a moment to the point you made where with the Oklahoma Christian Dynasty ending, we're seeing new teams with LAN birds for the first time. That gap between, there's this much discrepancy between top 2 and top 5. Blah, blah, blah. We are seeing that bridge be gapped, but Fisher still, with the players that they have touted in year after year and how relatively consistent this roster has been, though bringing in confident Darkside here somewhat recently. These are still, like you said, it's so important to say they're perennial challengers players. This isn't new. They are not new to this. They're very much true to this, and for the Fisher Falcons side, comfortability, repetitions over the years. This is a squad that knows top performances and knows that when they need to perform, that's what you're going to get out of them. For a Cumberland team who's playing with that heart and passion of really wanting to get anything more than a top 4 finish, they already have top 3. It's fantastic. Fisher, it just feels like for them a little bit surgical.
It does. 10-2 for Mr. Phantoms. Again, as we mentioned, another double-digit map for him in a search and destroy on a raid. Why not?
Sure.
Darkside 8-3 down there as well. He's doing the thing that he's done throughout the entire weekend, just outslay the other team. 13 kills in total between everybody on Cumberland is something that's just unfortunately not going to net you any sort of love inside of a series. That being said, though, obviously we go into an overload where the side of Fisher has been pretty decent throughout the day, I guess we could say. They weren't able to best of St. Clair, though, but it has been the mode that has been their second best overall behind Hardpoint.
Yeah. Still one more map remaining. Yeah, you can take good tries. You can't even just hear it in the comms for a moment, right? These guys know. And you're hoping this map's like they just go out and have a little bit of fun with it. You feel like you have to say it, that it's worth saying, especially for this Cumberland team. You don't want to write them off. It is still possible, of course. While there's still COD to be played, they still have an opportunity. But in this one, going back to a respawn, I think Fisher, for the talking point we made for them, coming to the match with St. Clair, coming into their weekend as a whole, the thing that separates them in the respawns, which going into this map 3 is something they're going to look to execute again at a high level. It's the point differential. When games get close with them, Fisher finds a way to kind of push and give themselves more boundary. St. Clair is the one team they kind of struggled that with, but their point differential and overload has been by multiple scores the entire weekend. They're not just getting 2 scores and kind of holding on to it until the end. They're ripping off 3 or 4 in a round, and then maybe they'll slow things down from there. But it's the offensive potential of the St. Clair, of this Fisher team, that make it so hard for teams to overcome, because when they get a lead, they don't just get one. They bite off more than they can chew, and they still find a way to put it down.
Phantoms 2-piece to cap off the streak, and then the 2-piece where he curves it directly through the top side of laundry window. Just so sneaky, just so good. And again, S&D at the beginning of the day wasn't really what Fisher were looking for, but you ride the momentum of Phantoms, you ride the momentum of a few players, you get confident in the mix, and all of a sudden that looks a lot better against maybe a St. Clair when you go into that best-of-7 series that we'll see later on. Cumberland Phoenix down 0-2, going into a Scar overload. Season lives on the line here in the lower finals. Top 3 have already been solidified. Trying to get to the grand final are the Fisher Falcons. We're going to step aside. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll see if Fisher can close things out in a 3-0, or if Cumberland can start the reverse sweep in the dirty cursed word that I just used on screen. Don't go anywhere. From the Impact Gaming Center here in St. Louis, this is the CCL 2026 LAN Finals. And we are back here at the CCL LAN Finals 2026 at the Impact Gaming Center in St. Louis. I'm Corin. With me is Cash. The Cumberland Phoenix down 0-2 to the Fisher Falcons, who are trying to get their way into what will be a stellar grand final. The only question that remains now is there a reverse sweep on the cards, or will the Falcons close it out on a Scar overload where they've been so good today? I think the only team they've lost it against is St. Clair.
Yeah, that is the only team they have fallen short on in that regard. So do I see Fisher closing it out here? Yes. Cumberland, though, can pull something, really like a rabbit out of the hat in a sense, and throw everything at the wall, right? Because at this point, you really have nothing to lose.
Exactly.
They came here, got more than they even could have imagined, is what they had told us. And so anything on top of that is just icing on the cake. This team is going to be very happy just to go out and give it their all. Looking at Overload, like you said, with how well they have played this weekend, and on Scar specifically, they've been so good. In all of those columns, not shocking to see them favored in everyone. Yeah,
kills and goals per 10 minutes, slightly favoring over the side of Cumberland, but it's not too egregious of a gap between these two teams. It's just the win percentage there, but Cumberland have played not only more matches than both of these teams, but they have kind of had to play a little bit of tougher competition at times, and for the sheer fact that Cumberland were not expected to probably be a top 3 team this weekend when we came to LAN. I know a lot of people had them on their radar as like maybe a fringe top 4, could maybe sneak into Sunday. I think a lot of people, though, just saw Fisher and Oklahoma Christian and automatically assumed, they'll probably place maybe top 6, top 8. But no, the top 3 right now, this is the best placement that we've ever had for the Cumberland Phoenix as an organization here inside of the CCL. So regardless of the outcome of this series against Fisher and being able to make a berth into the grand final or not, this is still something to be incredibly proud of, not only for the boys over at Cumberland, but that entire organization and school here inside of the CCL. They've been competing for plenty of years at this point. I can't even put a number on it because I don't know how long they've been here. But it has been quite some time, pretty much since I even joined into the CCL many years ago, many moons ago. But it's been awesome to not only watch Cal's ride here throughout the entire time that he's played inside of the CCL, but also being able to see, guys like Honor come into the fold, guys that have maybe not had big names outside of collegiate Call of Duty starting to kind of get a platform and stuff like that. You think of like guys like Ghosty, for example, for years ago, he's like the one big like storyline and name that came out of the CCL. Then later on, you think of like Flames, you think of Fame and Kev, like. Those guys came out of the CCL, and it's like, okay, that's awesome. Like, that's dope that they were there. But they were already kind of names and challengers beforehand. Ghosty had kind of made a name in the CCL, started playing challengers and stuff like that. People realized, oh, God, this guy is like one of the smartest minds in Call of Duty. We should probably get him a spot, and then obviously goes to the CDL, has the big opportunity with Optic, and then is able to go from there. So it's like it's homegrown stories like that. Now, is Cal the next Ghosty? I don't necessarily know if I could don him with that title or anything like that, but again, it's the premise of not really having any sort of platform, and then being able to then have people be having you as a household name within an organization like collegiate Call of Duty. So it's the guys that come out here and have played for years at this point that not only help build their own brand, but help build the CCL as a brand in general. Like, we all get attached to these players with their storylines, with their stories, with them as people, and it leads to just kind of like a beautiful circle of just like, well, let's watch the CCL because of this person. Well, let's play in the CCL because we love the people in there. So it's a beautiful thing, and that's why I love collegiate Call of Duty so much. But again, enough of the stabby stuff right now. We got another map to get into.
Scar Overload map number 3. Fisher looks to close the series out in a 3-0 fashion. Cumberland Phoenix is going to throw everything at the wall, see what sticks here as they need to try to take this map to kick off the 3-map stretch they would have to do to best this team and get to grand finals. Fisher trying to shut the door on that opportunity here. Mid-map, gunfights, back and forth for the moment. No one with real semblance of control. Cumberland maybe going to get an inkling forward first. You have Fisher backed up the way you would like, but beyond that, no real play that can develop.
Sara up top. Has 2 players down on the bottom side of P4. I think he kind of cleaned up his own kill there. I'm not sure if that's exactly who he saw. They try to get south control of the map and push into B. The problem was the Fisher all spawned on top of that because they were trying to push in through plain side. So shut down to the goal line, re-wrap opportunity. Now through bottom red, it's going to be Fisher on the offensive.
P2 control for the moment, but kind of stifled. As they're really just waiting for Darkside to get in position. He's been their roamer. He's been the one trying to find these kills. You do just that. That's going to be the green light. The all good forward. The person is behind you. That is last alive. You're going to jump. You're going to slide. You're going to chow. Should be a point for Fisher, and that will be the go. They're just going to chase these players out of spawn at that. Try to get a quick transition point again.
North side, 2 bodies. You got to find them through. Pistol challenge from Darkside on 6 in a row, looking for potential streaks here. Wants to find 7. Backline doesn't realize that it's on are going to be a little bit too close for a real contest. It wasn't fully healed up on the HP either. Close left corner. That's just great shots from Phantoms as he rips him. Tries to snap to the second on the spray transfer from Brack, but Ciara at least gets the trade. They'll go 1 for 2 on the north side of the map. Meanwhile, inside of middle map, you got 2 bodies from Cumberland who are starting to win a few gunfights. Kill feed lighting up red for the first time here in quite some time, and a team kill there. That might be the catalyst.
Here they go. Look, try to push forward this line. Cal leading the way along with his teammate, trying to just get everyone rallied over to this top side of the map to get the spike secured. But it's going to be 3 down in the feed. The moment you try to get your footing and set something up, that's whenever Fisher push back and they take everyone down for it. So you don't even get the chance for a play to fully develop before you have to take gunfights. You end up losing them there. Fisher get the wipe. All of that just to get back into a moderate position. But look at how much Fisher has taken up mid-map.
Back off the respawn. Gets back over by Blue. Spots a second. Grabs the payload. Says, you know what, hey, I don't really want to shut you guys top plane side, so we're going to wrap this all the way through our spawn, maybe try to push this through red again, and they feel most confident here because they want to get them trapped top left of the map, get that deep green spawn. Inside of middle map, you got Darkside here trying to jump up onto the Jenny. This is great retaliation effort from Cumberland, though, as they've been able to win a few gunfights. I like the hip fires, but with the pistol swap, it's Cal. Still don't have the payload. It's just running all the way through top red. Is anybody going to be there for a trade to stop him finally? No, it's not! Oh my god! Oh, man.
Just enough of a reach in there. I mean, that was a bullet. But good to not even hesitate if you're Fisher. Don't even try to turn back and take a gunfight. You're like, I'm either going to do it now or not at all.
Yep.
And so they punch in 2 quick ones. So even though you've kind of battled back and forth, Fisher already have 2 goals to your none. You haven't been able to apply any pressure offensively. So even though you've done good enough, it's still looking jarring in the scoreline after the first couple of minutes have passed by. And even though it's just 2, right, I don't want to say jarring in the sense of a 100-point club, but in an overload, 2 goals can be so hard to come back from. We saw earlier, Cumberland actually had to make it happen earlier. They are no strangers to being down, but we haven't seen anything really come in the form of continued offensive success for them to give us any indication that they're going to be close to closing this deficit.
Disfigured on the slide back down the staircase. Bottom side of red, looking out on the right side challenge. Up through market, it looks like middle map is where Cumberland want to go ahead, sort their dominance, make their push. On our side of market, it's just kind of trapped right now. He's got one top blue, he's got one on the white wall. Forces them to back off just for a moment. This might be the green light to get inside of bottom blue, and they're going to try and force this one all the way to the south side. Gunfights. It's a barrage of kills that come in. Cal's there for it. It's the pistol that goes in, finds Disfigured. Now as Cal's the last one alive here, there's not anything that happens. Once again, Fisher Falcons, who stopped them short of the goal line.
And everyone's spread across the map, and I think what Fisher's call is going to be here is, hey, you know what, Phantom, just buy time with the payload. Wherever we can find these kills, that's where we're going to have you swing to. You get the kill in mid-cut, you're going to swing airplane side of the map. You've got Darkside in a position to look over you. With an SMG, it could be hard, but Darkside makes it look easy. Disfigured finally gets the trade, so that puts Phantom stuck for the moment airplay. The rest of the teammates trying to work to him.
Child out left, 1-1. Disfigured to double. On the way forward, you got one more body to clear out if you are the side of Cumberland Phoenix. In from behind. Bodies off the respawn now. Fisher starting to make their push into middle map. Got one top blue, back side of spawn. Left side hit out over towards the boat. They're going to back off for a moment. 25 seconds left here in the round. Challenge out onto Confit. You go 1 for 1 once again. Middle map full spread. Nobody's grabbing the payload just yet. It's spawning bottom red.
Here we go, market control. You see the transition downward. You see Fisher having to kind of reconcentrate their efforts over here. You know Cumberland's going to want to make a play on it. They're trying to get aggressive. They're trying to slow down this push, but Cumberland's still winning a couple of gunfights. They have a chance.
I feel like you need something here if you're Cumberland to go into the second half with. Fisher already a 2-0 lead. They're going to be able to grab this, wrap it all the way back around. So this is one of those times where Cumberland are not going to be able to get anything here. Now it's all about playing the defense, making sure in these last 25 seconds Fisher cannot push this forward. Confid knows that he needs to stay alive. 7-14, not the best game of Overload he's played so far. Goes for the direct challenge, top red. Okay, pal. Disfigured falls immediately. 12 seconds now and everybody coming off the respawns. They have to have the lead blockers out in front. The second that they kill him here, the ground is completely over, and it's a big if now if they're going to be able to take him down. All 4 dead. Runs all the way back through. Config gets to go ahead. He flies all the way in. 3-0 at the half. Fisher lead.
You said that's exactly what they couldn't let happen. And you know, whenever they scooped it, Fisher could have let the clock run out.
Exactly.
They could have let it roll. The looks on those faces right there that you see, you don't want to say puts it out of reach, but I mean, Alex, that's why they scooped and scored there in those final moments.
My God. That was how close it was. Thank you for the back and forth on this. It was like, I'm talking
the bullet traveling
millimeter. Yeah, if he had a damage bullet on with the bullet velocity on there, you probably get the
honestly,
kill there.
that is probably the difference.
That is the one small moment in Call of Duty where bullet velocity actually will matter on one of your weapons.
Genuinely, that is the sole reason. It was the bullet travel time that did that. Phantom's over the top of the nade. That was a first. That's exciting to see, though, honestly, and just know that we got the exact moment of where that kind of scored and didn't quite make the cut. But again, Fisher putting in that point right before half. Darkside's coming out and doing this off the opening break. A quick score here.
It's the eruption from Fisher. They're able to get that first kill, and then everybody is able to fly at the same time. And that's why they're so hard to stop in Overload. That's really the only reason why a team like St. Clair's been able to stop them. St. Clair play with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's like an NBA fan or if you watch traditional sports at all, but it's like that quick first step of a basketball player. They can get off the dribble, and then once they make that move where you're even off balance just a little bit, they're flying past you. And that's what it feels like Fisher does so well every time that they play Overload, and they continue to do that throughout the entire time. Yeah, Phoenix is going to get some position here. They're going to get the possession out of their spawn. They're going to be able to take this through middle map, but Honor's up close. He's not able to find anything on the lead block, and now Phantoms is already out the middle map. There's so much map being spread out, and Timmy Phantoms, why not give them all three? This should be transition and immediately a score here, if not for the player that's playing contestant inside of middle map. Another two in, slide across. Hello there, darling. 5 in a row from Phantoms, 5-0 up on the scoreboard. How about the Fisher Falcons making this a closeout effort? They are not slowing down. Everybody spawning over by the plane. Rally opportunity through the bottom of red. They can't kill him right now. 12 combined, 13 combined for everybody on Fisher. There's nothing that Cumberland can do.
And there's about 3.5 minutes left to play. 3 scores, make that 2. That would close us out, and I just think Fisher are going to try to run it down. I don't think they're going to let it come to time. I think they want to punch in the last 2, send Cumberland packing.
They're on like an 18-1 run right now when it comes to the kills. Looks like the Magic versus the Pistons in Game 6 just a few nights ago. Brack out in the middle. Hipfire shots onto the close player inside of blue. He's gotten one for Confid on the opposite side. Spawns chaotic all across the south side and north side of the map. Deep in the spawn, though, Brack refuses to die on 8 in a row, and will finally find his demise. But it's a 50 between Brack and Phantoms here inside. 3 minutes left, 2 scores the difference, and now they should be able to just waltz this one into the point. One final player in the back is Honor. Well, he stops it for now. There's still a body here, but off the respawn, they'll continue to at least hold on to the goal line.
A minute off the clock, 2.5 minutes to work with. As Cumberland's just going to scoop. The streak's going to get invested, though, so as much as you want to try to maybe get a point on the board, Brack's going to be like, actually, we're going to make that a little bit harder for you. No freebies here out of the Fisher Falcons. Darkside will get 1. The comms to the rest of the team on where the players are, lying in wait, letting these players roam. As the streak comes in, you're still going to get 1 for Confid will collect, and yeah, if it could not get worse, that might have just done you in.
Cool, calm, and collected for the Fisher Falcons. Here on a Scar Overload, a closeout, a chance to get the run back against St. Clair. They've got 2 minutes and 10 seconds separating from them in a berth for another chance at a collegiate Call of Duty title. Payload running up through middle map. Cal trying to do everything he possibly can to hold this off. He's got 27. Let's go ahead and give him the credit right now because he's at least trying. Somebody out there is probably going, get Cal some help right now, and I am too.
Brack lines up a couple more. Cal with 27. The next closest is going to be 22 out of disfigured, but like you said, he is still roaming around, frying, trying to get these kills, at least just trying to do something, not go down without a fight. Now 90 seconds remaining. Fisher having to be able to score after that stop that Cumberland made. But if Darkside opens things up here, Honor's going to try to wrap back and get a couple of these kills to at least slow down what they thought about pushing. And sure, yeah, he'll get 3, good to go. That's got to feel good no matter what the scoreline is.
Where is this big man? You got to get a lead blocker out. They're playing this so slow through market. They're giving Fisher so much time to get back. And if you give Confid an inch, in a series like this where he needs a mile, he'll take it. As Brack and Disfigure go blow for blow inside of middle map, there is not much that Cumberland are going to be able to do here. So let's enjoy this last 60 seconds of what has been a wild ride for Cal and the rest of Cumberland Phoenix. The one player that is actually not able to be here this weekend, of course, Draken, disfigured off the Academy roster, was able to come out, step up for him. It's a storyline that we kind of missed a little bit, but I was able to talk to the players. I was wondering why he wasn't here, and I didn't want to give a full information or breakdown until I found out the reason. He's also graduating this weekend, so who would have thought? Another player also retiring, so Cal won't be here. Draken also getting the graduation call as well, and with 7 scores here for the Fisher Falcons. Cumberland, a couple of the players' final rides here for the final time. A top 3 placement is where they're going to finish. We'll go ahead and ride this one into the sunset. Final opportunity now for the payload to push its way forward. They want to cap this off with an emphatic 8-0. The Fisher Falcons have a date in the grand finals against the St. Clair Saints, a best of 7 to define the 2026 CCL champions.
And they are going into that series feeling good. It was a dominant Overload performance out of them. Like you said, everyone just knowing where they want to go, what they want to do, and scoring so effectively, even on a map like Scar where things get dicey. And Fisher always seemed to make sense of the messy situations. You gave the final hurrah, the final ride to Calamity, to Cumberland, what they were able to do. A top 3 berth, I mean, a lost thing. You can see it on their face, right? A couple smiles here and there, of course, just knowing the battle that they gave, but a top 3 berth for a first-time program who hadn't even been in LAN before that.
Exactly.
I mean, again, there's just let the sting of the loss be the sting of the loss, but it should be all smiles once you kind of can settle down from the fact that, yes, you did just get eliminated and the competitor aspect kind of slides to the side. That's a top 3 finish for the first time program history. What kind of eyes does that get on the program going forward? As much as there are a couple guys we know leaving, that puts them on the map for people to want to come in and play for a school like that. So, again, there's so much good to come out of this. As a competitor, it stings. Losing never tastes well. The pill never goes down easier. So, these guys know they have so much to smile for, so much to be happy about with their season, with the run that they made. To go out to the hands of one of the Titans, it seems like that was going to be the case as Fisher now get themselves a ticket into grand finals. But I mean, again, you just can't say enough good things about not only all of the teams that have competed here and been eliminated, but for Cumberland and what they're able to do. Even just yesterday, the surprise they were able to give us a group play. Yeah,
well, here's a stat sheet.
Yeah, it is a stat sheet.
It's about three-quarters of the way full with players at the moment. But, I can't necessarily blame it, especially at the end there. I mean, you got, 60 seconds of full time that you're playing out for. You're just trying to end it as quickly as humanly possible. So, shout out to Fisher for getting that 8-0 on there to get us out of that a little bit quicker than it would have. The one thing that I wish would be a little bit different about Overload is that that was one of those things as complaints from us way back in the day, especially with domination in W19. It's I would really wish that it was a game mode as the third game mode where you're never fully mathematically out of it, because that ending minute potentially or minute 30 seconds just is dead time to where there's really no purpose to continue after playing it, which is why I really liked although we only had it was a 17-minute overtime between what was the Marshall roster and I believe Mars Hill.
Yep.
Although that went 17 minutes and it took a long time to finish, that was one of the most entertaining overloads that I had seen throughout the entire year, which was a ton of fun to watch.
It was a lot of fun at the expense.
Nobody was ever out.
Yes, no one was ever out of it. The time. Oh my God, bro. That one was stopping my charge. That was actually pretty funny.
All right. So the Fisher Falcons, fist bump smiles all around. Look at the highlights from the rest of this overload real quick. We'll see just how they were able to put this one away, but we all kind of know what ended up happening. They got to the side that they favored a little bit more. Cumberland tried. I think at a certain point you just kind of realize that everything is just fading away and the light at the end of the tunnel is fully starting to fade to black on your chances to get to a championship. But, I mean, I don't know how many ways that we could dice it up and say that it was a valiant effort from the Cumberland Phoenix. Very proud of this roster. I can say that just as not only a spectator and a caster, but as a fan. If somebody who has watched this team grow over the course of the last few years, it's awesome to see it. We in the CCL playoffs were sitting there okay, well, hey, here's the Cumberland Phoenix. They're going to get to land, but how far will they push it? And it's so weird how year after year we always had that narrative for so many different teams, because it was I would love to see Cumberland be able to fight for a championship. I would love to see Wichita State fight for a championship. I would love to see any of the teams that aren't Oklahoma Christian, St. Clair, and Fisher be able to challenge one of those teams, because that makes for a more exciting and enthralling product, not only for the viewers and us, but just for the competitiveness of the collegiate Call of Duty. And that gets more buzz, more talk, more everything. So, yes, Fisher and St. Clair, yes, they're going to be at the top. But, again, not to take anything away from Cumberland Phoenix, I'm super proud of the entire program, but more specifically, the guys that were able to get to this point.
Yeah, and to show up this weekend and play, like you said, and do the step in, just figured did for Drake and stuff. A couple of those roster changes, and still to come out, like you said, show up, rise to the occasion, and go out and get a top 3 finish. You really can't ask for more from the squad, and like you said, so much over this year to look at and just be proud of as a team. For Fisher, job's not done yet. That's the mentality. I keep thinking back to the interview with Brack, where he's like, yeah, cool. Yeah, if we play well, hopefully we play well and get to Grands. That's kind of the expectation. So here we are. We are in Grands. Fisher, they did get bounced from winners finals down to the lower bracket, take care of business down here. It's going to be a rematch with St. Clair for him. I know Brack is, though not really an animated person, probably chomping at the bit to get over there.
I think Brack is going to want some revenge, not only for what happened against Oklahoma Christian last year, but he wants revenge from the winners bracket in the winners finals from the tournament today. We got a couple things before we get into the grand finals. We're going to take a break, but before I go, I'm going to go ahead and let you know we have the state of the CCL coming up in just a little bit. So before we get into the grand finals, we have some information about not only the current year of the CCL, but we're going to have John and the rest of the gang come on and talk a little bit about the future of going into the I guess, the future of the CCL and everything else surrounding it. But that is going to be something that you guys aren't going to want to miss. They're going to talk some formatting stuff, I believe, in there as well. So there's a lot of cool things and tidbits of information that we're going to be able to share with you going into the future for collegiate Call of Duty. That said, when we take a break, we will be back here in just a few short moments. Well, I say a few short moments, but it's going to take a while to get them set up on the couch and everything. You know how long these breaks have been taking throughout the weekend. We're on LAN. It's just one of those things. That said, we'll step aside when we come back. State of the CCL and then the grand finals between the Fisher Falcons and St. Clair. We will be crowning a champion for 2026 in just a few moments' time. Don't go anywhere. 2026 finals continues in just a bit.